She's raised in Daddy's Junkyard.
You would play here? This was the best playground any girl could ever ask for.
That he fights City Hall to save.
John was absolutely the hell no, I won't go center of the resistance.
A one-man wrecking crew in more ways than one.
I wished him dead so many times because I was so angry with him, but I never wanted that for John. Never.
I honestly still have a scar on my knee from sinking to the ground so quickly.
He leaves her a mess. Can she make it her dream?
The wedding was here on the Junkyard.
Excuse me? I'm Jamie Colby, and today I am driving through a rough and tumble part of Dallas, Texas called Rock Island. You know, some inheritances come crashing down on heirs just when they least expect it. Like today's story, where a violent crime suddenly leaves a young woman in a big fix.
My name is Hannah Hargrove. In 2013, my father was killed in a bar fight. I was only 23 and inherited his struggling junkyard business that I thought might be a diamond in the rough.
I meet Hannah at the strange inheritance she received 3 years before. That was a tragedy, but time heals.
Hi, Hannah.
Today, she's a beaming, expectant mother. But this place is clearly her baby, too.
You inherited a wreck.
I like to refer to it as my queendom of junk.
Can we take a look?
Let's do it.
Come on.
Hannah's junkyard has a little bit of everything. Doors, cabinets, sinks, wheels, windows, tubs. A Home Depot where nothing's new.
Do people really buy doorknobs?
People really buy doorknobs.
It even has random odds and ends, like this old adding machine.
We made $2 today on a doorknob.
There's actually an old cable box beside it.
Oh my gosh. Wait, there's only 36 channels.
I know. Ooh, I would not have done well.
Where do you find this stuff?
First and foremost, we do demolitions, but we go down and actually take apart the house piece by piece. We get it cleaned up, put it on the yard. By doing that, we keep things out of the landfill. So there's a big recycling factor. And then the other way is we have people show up with trucks. I mean, 85% of the time, it's crap. Last week, I had someone show up with a truck of futons. But I'll typically give them $5 and just throw it away. Because granted, their 10 loads might suck, but that 11th load, it might have the killer of all killers.
From there, it's up to Hannah to turn that junk into gold by selling it to home builders, antiques vendors, contractors, or anyone who walks through her gates.
It's kind of my life.
A junkyard life that starts for Hannah in 1993, when she's just a toddler. It's then that her father, John, makes an offer to buy the Orr Reed Wrecking Company.
My father was the only one who wanted to keep the business open for the business and not just for the land.
John is not the highest bidder, but he impresses the owner, Charles Orr, says John's ex-wife, Michelle.
Why is it that Mr. Orr decided John was the right guy? Because he probably could have sold this land for a pretty penny.
Absolutely. I think for him, it was this little cute young family that wanted to keep his legacy going.
While 31-year-old John has no experience running a salvage yard, he has the most important skill in spades.
John could sell ice cubes to Eskimos.
What kind of salesman was your dad?
Watching him was like watching magic. The air around him become electrified.
I sense Hannah inherits that ability too.
People would buy things they never thought they would, and they leave happy doing it.
The junkyard is a family affair. Mom does the books, Dad handles sales, while little Hannah models for newspaper ads.
You were a little junkyard princess.
That's what I like to refer to myself as.
Hannah's a senior in high school. John promises to dry out and reconciles with Hannah's mom.
It was kind of like an ongoing soap opera.
By then, Hannah's life plan no longer revolves around Daddy's junkyard.
Did you think you were going to follow in your father's footsteps?
My goal was to go to college and get my doctorate. I wanted to be an art therapist.
Meanwhile, the city of Dallas launches a campaign to rezone Rock Island, which actually is an island in the middle of the Trinity River.
And the idea is that all of this area will be converted to fancy shops and condos and so on.
Jim Schutz is a local reporter and friend of John's.
There was a concerted effort to paint this area as dirty. And the threat was that the city would use eminent domain to force these people to sell.
I was like, no, they're not doing that. You're going to have to fight this. We're not buckling.
John leads the fight against City Hall.
John was absolutely the hell no, I won't go emotional center of the resistance.
Not that the salesman won't bargain at all. He and his fellow business owners promised to beautify the area.
I saw their cause as hopeless because so much power and money was in play, and people in their position just don't win.
But surprise, the little guys do win. The city council sides with them. Fresh off his David versus Goliath victory, John falls completely off the wagon. Michelle leaves him a second time.
And at that point, the business kind of fell on the wayside. My father, I think, was overwhelmed.
Even for a junkyard, the place becomes a chaotic mess. John neglects the grounds, loses customers, and piles up a mountain of debt.
How much are we talking about?
I want to say like $800,000 worth of debt.
In the spring of 2012, Hannah returns home to save the family business. Or is it the family itself?
Part of the reason I came home and take over the business was to make sure my dad was okay.
Over the next year, things slowly start to improve. John gets back on the wagon, and the two land a major restoration deal with a swanky new hotel.
We did all the woodwork. We did their restaurant, their bar. It was a huge job.
And there's even more reason to celebrate. Hannah is engaged and sets the date just a few months away.
How excited was he about the wedding?
Thrilled. He went and picked the wedding dress with me.
But John never walks his daughter down the aisle.
When you put yourself in dangerous situations, I mean, you're basically playing Russian roulette.
That's next.
But first, our strange inheritance quiz question. In 2012, a scrap metal dealer almost melted down this $33 million object before discovering where it came from. Was it thrown out by Martha Stewart's handyman, lost by Russian czars, or stolen from the White House? The answer in a moment. So, where did this $33 million object, almost melted down for scrap, come from? The answer is B. The lost imperial Easter egg was designed by Fabergé for Tsar Alexander III in 1877.
In 2013 in Dallas, Hannah Hargrove is helping to revive her father's junkyard business. John Hargrove is an alcoholic who's long suffered from depression. But things are finally starting to look up for him and his salvage yard.
He had been sober for about 6 months, or Reed was on the way up again.
But things never stay good for John Hargrove long. January 26th.
Hannah came to my house crying. She couldn't find him. He wouldn't answer phone calls.
For my father to not pick me up for work that morning, it was very strange.
Hannah contacts local hospitals, but there's no trace of John. By evening, the family reluctantly calls the morgue and has their worst fears confirmed.
I honestly still have a scar on my knee from sinking to the ground so quickly.
Were you with Hannah?
And my son. I'd wished him dead so many times because I was so angry with him. But I remember going, I didn't mean it. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it, you know. But, you know, I never wanted that for John. Never.
Or for your
Or
children?
for babies.
The police open a murder case. It turns out John got drunk and hit an East Dallas nightclub that has a history of violence.
Give us another one. Yeah.
My first impulse was to think, oh man, walking in there is a death wish.
When you put yourself in dangerous situations, you're basically playing Russian roulette.
Around 3 a.m., a fight breaks out. Witnesses say John is beaten with a chair and a pool stick and kicked multiple times in the head.
My dad liked to say he had 10 good seconds to fight in him. Well, that night, I guess he just didn't have the 10 good seconds in him.
An hour later, John Hargrove is dead at 50 years old. A known criminal, 24-year-old Federico Prado, turns himself in. After witnesses refuse to testify against him, he is offered a plea deal. In her anger and grief, Hannah embraces her strange inheritance as the place to rebuild her life.
My uncles came in and they were ready to start liquidating everything. And I was over here going, no, this is his legacy. This is my legacy.
She wanted to make it work, and she wanted to rejuvenate it.
But the business is not quick to embrace her.
How'd the customers react?
Not so great. She's had to face some comments about, you little girl, why aren't you out shopping? This is a man's business.
One of the first calls Hannah takes as boss is a demolition client backing out. She loses 3 more jobs over the next 2 weeks.
That was the struggle, dealing with customers, dealing with the just running of a business.
Not to mention that crushing debt.
That became Hannah's problem.
Yes, it did. She was strapped with a big financial burden. I mean, there were some days in the beginning when I'd come down here with Hannah, we might stay 30 minutes and just say, I can't, we gotta go.
And then there's that other thing on Hannah's plate, her wedding, just weeks away.
She didn't know she wanted to do the wedding, and I said, don't postpone this wedding, because that's not what he would want. And everyone that knew John would say, no, you're gonna go for the gusto, go for it.
Plus, she already has the venue picked out.
The wedding was here on the Junkyard.
Excuse me?
That's next.
Here's another quiz question for you. Set in a South Central LA junkyard, the TV series Sanford & Son was NBC's answer to what CBS hit show? Good Times, All in the Family, or The Courtship of Eddie's Father? The answer after the break. So, the TV series Sanford & Son was created in response to what other hit show? The answer is B. The lead character, Fred Sanford, played by Red Fox, was created as a black version of All in the Family's lovable bigot, Archie Bunker.
In 2013, Hannah Hargrove is struggling to revive the Dallas junkyard she just inherited after her father is killed in a bar fight.
She was worried in the beginning after he passed away that she couldn't do it.
And while Hannah is trying to keep the business from going under, she's also ready to move on in other facets of her life. Her wedding is set to take place just 6 weeks after her dad's funeral in the junkyard.
At the end of the day, I wanted it to be the place that my heart was. And my heart was here.
Describe the dress.
So silk chiffon, strapless, sweetheart neckline with a blue bow.
How'd you feel in it?
Like a princess, I felt beautiful.
With the help of a lot of people, we made this junkyard look like a magical place. With draped chiffon, and I made a 70-foot train. It was beautiful.
And then
It poured the day of the wedding. But it stopped raining about 15 minutes before the ceremony, and I'll just say my father was up there blocking the rain.
with the memory of her father hovering above, Hannah's 3 uncles walk her down the aisle. And she's thinking, yeah, everything's gonna be all right.
I'm a part of it, and it's a part of me. It's my life. You know, it's not something I could ever see it being another way. This is what I love. And when you love something, it's...
What do you love about this? It's junk.
Oh, it's my junk. I mean, it's my kingdom.
With the support of her mother, Hannah dedicates herself to turning the junkyard into a moneymaker. The first step, attracting a new client base.
So my goal was to really market it to the younger generation because I knew that the way to survive in this world was to bring in a younger crowd.
How? By turning Orr Reed into an upscale junkyard. Reporter Jim Schutz wonders if such a contradiction in terms will catch on.
I had some concern. I didn't get where she would have the business acumen to run something like this.
Retooling the wrecking business.
That's the goal. It's to change people's perception of what a junkyard is.
Find out how Hannah does it next. What's your strange inheritance story? We'd love to tell it. Send me an email or go to our website, strangeinheritance.com.
Now, back to Strange Inheritance.
By 2015, Hannah Hargrove has completed the transformation of this junkyard on Rock Island in Dallas. All the junk is arranged neatly in departments along scrubbed and swept concrete walkways. And that old storefront, once stuffed with just rusty tools and hardware, is transformed into a boutique with artisan crafts and collectibles.
It's definitely more organized. It's girlified. I mean, I definitely put that feminine touch on it.
When you drive up, you think junkyard, and then I have to say, the minute you walk through those doors, it's a magical experience.
It is, because I feel like you're entering a whole new world when you come in here.
Another inspiration, Hannah invites artists to work on site, using materials gleaned from the yard. Johan is the yard manager here, who also makes custom furniture. Today, a barn-style gate for a pet.
Where did this stuff come from?
Most of this is all reclaimed actually out of the same house that we just took down not long ago. It's just 3 1/4 antique pine. It's probably over 100 years old.
And these hinges
Yeah,
also
old
reused?
hinges off a cabinet probably from inside the house.
Can I?
Yeah.
Johan tells me the wrecking company saves up to 90% of the materials from the houses it demolishes.
And so, where would this wood go if not to be used again?
More than likely into a landfill.
And you're preventing that.
We're doing the best we can.
So, folks, in the end, it's going to look like a barn door.
Yeah.
For a dog.
For a dog.
I've really tried to market to a younger clientele.
Does it work? Thanks in part to the reclaimed materials trend, the girlified wrecking company does become the go-to place for artists, designers, and DIYers to find that perfect antique wood, clawfoot tub, or porcelain sink for their project.
This business has been rejuvenated. She gets the new market for this stuff. The fact that she's younger has given her a sensibility that I think has really helped her give this place a new life.
Meanwhile, Hannah and her mom chip away at that $800,000 debt that came with her father's estate.
We did sell the house.